everyone, Tia here from Order of the Bookish. I'm here with another amazing author for an Author Talks interview. This is Inara Gage. She's had a crazy journey in the publishing world and in her life, and it's very much reflected in her books. She is one of my favorite authors to watch for marketing campaigns because some of the things she's done is very creative and very fun. And I want to hear all about everything, and I'm sure you guys too do too. So, Inara, can we just start off with a little bit more about your books? You have two series out. The newest one is A Bond with the Dark. Can you tell us about both your series?
My first series is the Serenia Chronicles, A Witch's Aura. It's YA. It's a coming of age. I really loved writing that book. The main character Shade. She's just just figuring things out. We all remember what it's like to be 16. So when I wrote her, it was just so refreshing to like be a teenager in my head again, and like the excitement of the first kiss and all that. And just she comes from a long line of witches, and so she's coming into her magic. They find out about their gifts and everything on their 16th birthday, and so she's kind of struggling with learning who she is and her ancestors and stuff, but also like this new love interest, her first real kind of love interest. And when you're 16, so much is heightened, and you just think that person is, you're forever, and you're just going to be with that person forever. And that's kind of like how being in Shade's brain, it was really like, oh wow, yeah, it's so intense when you're a teenager. So that series is close to my heart. There's two of them out. We'll get into the journey of that one later, I'm sure. And then my newest series, A Bond with the Dark, it's the Beautifully Broken saga. I wrote A Bond with the Dark shortly after my mama passed away. And the book, the first version of it, was really a way that I grieved. My writing was so much more. And I think like us indie authors, or even authors in general, sometimes we lose sight of like why we write, why we do it. And that really kind of brought me back to my love of writing, and like my, just the love of like falling in love with the characters and letting them take you on the journey. Cause I mean, you've written books, how they just take you on their own journey. Like you're just there, you're just the conduit. You're just there to like kind of write it all down. So A Bond with the Dark is about a 30-something witch who has been through a lot in her life. She's kind of inspired by me and my life, like my backstory. Because I went through some things, and everybody was like, you need to write a book about your life. And I was like, I don't want to bore people with a book about me. So I just kind of gave the main character my story, and it's really, really blossomed into something beautiful. The third book comes out this spring. So A Bond with the Dark, I have it right here. So A Bond with the Dark, this one came out in July. And then A Bond with the Blood of Angels, this one came out in September. And then A Bond with the Wrath of Demons will be out this spring. And then title and cover reveal for the fourth one will come after A Bond with the Wrath of Demons comes out. And it is going to be a quartet. I don't really know what to call 4 books. I've called it a quadrology before, and that's my own coined term. But people are telling me that it's either a quartet or just, so the quartet is what we'll go with. So yeah, and then I was also a part of an anthology. So that one just came out January 17th, and that was an honor to be a part of. I wrote a little novella. It's a dark reverse Beauty and the Beast retelling. So the Beast is the female. And it was one of the most beautiful pieces of literature I've ever written. And it's for a cause I'm very passionate about. So that was really fun. So once the anthology is over, I'll get the rights for that book back. And I'm kind of almost tempted to make it a full-blown novel. It was a lot of fun to write. Like the main character, the FMC, her name's Reverie, and she is a force to be reckoned with. She's got a story to tell, and I feel like I need to tell her story in depth. So I might make that into a full blown like novel.
You absolutely should make that a book. I'm so excited to hear that you have multiple books coming out soon and one coming out this spring. I'm really excited for it. Your books, one, look incredible, just like on the shelves, aesthetically super pleasing to the eye. I always tell authors, like, if you don't have a strong cover, it's going to be really hard to sell a book. But your covers are so strong. They look so good on your social media and on Amazon. And you've had great feedback from your street team, from your art team. So I know that everything that you come out with is going to be incredible. So I do want to talk a little bit about the publishing process, getting these books out there, because I know you have quite a story to tell just in the publishing industry.
Yes, and it's another thing I'm very passionate about, and thank you for letting me talk about it because I just want other indie authors, any author, baby, everybody to be aware of what is out there. I learned the hard way. So I wrote A Witch's Aura in 2009, and I didn't know how to write a book. I've been writing poetry since I was little, but I've always had stories like knocking at my insides, but I didn't know how to like get it out. And so let's face it, the first one was atrocious, but somehow I garnered an agent for it. So Stephanie Meyer, and she kind of said, go on writer's market and query agents. And so I did. And I found one. Her name was Emeranta. She lived in New Zealand and she loved my idea of my story, but she knew I needed work. So her and I we spent like, 2 or 3 years kind of just editing it. I fired her like 3 times. Like it was anytime I sent her the book, it would come back with like more red in it than it went to her. And I was like, I just kind of was getting really frustrated, but then she never gave up on me. And at the end of 2011, I got cancer. I got really sick. I got leukemia, and I was diagnosed with the kid's leukemia at 28, which was really rare. So during that time, A Witch's Aura was my escape. That was how like I got out of cancer mentality, because like I was really good about it never being a cancer patient. Like that was one facet of myself that I didn't let it define me, so it was, but it still helped to have the escape. So I kind of just dove right into that book. I wrote like three kind of just fell out of me. And then I wanted to go to Vegas for my 30th birthday just because my 20s ended so badly. And on the morning of my 30th birthday, I got an email from my agent saying I had been picked up. And I was so elated. Like, I just remember looking at the buildings of Vegas and being like, okay, this is why this took so long, because I had to be here on this moment to feel this way. And there was a Pitbull and Christina Aguilera song, Feel This Moment. And I was like, just on a replay, walking the streets of Vegas, like just trying to feel the moment. And I'll never forget it. Like, that was huge. It was such an incredible feeling. And I'll never, ever forget the way it felt. And so my new editor, Wendy, and she lived in the UK. We only talked over email. We talked, we did the editing process. She was wonderful to work with. She became like a good friend, and we were really excited. The book came out. We didn't really do a huge launch for it. I didn't really see them market it a lot. I know they had picked up a lot of authors and slowly started letting them go. And then it came to the point where they were like, okay, we're just going to put all our eggs in your basket. We're going to translate it to Chinese and put a game with an app. And I made a spell book, and it was this huge thing. And I was like really excited that they're like, okay, you're going to put all your eggs in the basket. Like, and then I got an email from her saying that Penrose Publishing was a costly endeavor and we're shutting our doors, and she cut off all communication, and my heart was destroyed. I was so destroyed, because it was like, my book was still up on Amazon, but I had no way to like get it, or I had to go through so many loops just to get my rights back. But I only got the rights back for the ebook. So if you look up my Witch's Aura, you'll see like 3 versions of it on there. There's still one version I can't get down. So anyway, I took a few years to kind of like lick my wounds and like, okay, maybe this author dream isn't for me. And then I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And so I kind of started querying agents again, and I fell for a trap. So there are so many vanity publishers out there. So like, just first advice, if they ever want you to pay money to publish your book, they're not legit. They are not legit. It takes money as an indie author. But if you're with a publisher and they're trying to tell you that it costs, so I ended up paying like $2,500 I didn't know. I got it put up on iUniverse, which I ended up finding out later on that it was an umbrella of author solutions, which is just a bunch of scammers that just rob indie authors of, probably millions of dollars. But so anyway, I was like, okay, I got another version. Like there was, sorry, I have like to show you the versions of them. So this one was the first one that was done through Penrose Publishing. All right, it's all right. And then, I mean,
Doesn't
it was
need to
cool
say
because,
much.
right. And the only thing that's cool is like the cauldron has names and
Oh,
embossed.
okay, yeah.
So that was part of the story, which I really liked. But then this is iUniverse. So this is the what they, and I liked this one. This was like kind of a stock photo. But anyway, they weren't marketing my book. My mom passed away and I got some money, for an inheritance. And I spent like $5,000 on marketing. And I remember being on the phone with him and he was like, yeah, we're going to do an Instagram banner, a Facebook banner, like all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds like $5,000 worth of marketing, right? Pay the money. I'm waiting. I'm not seeing anything. And then I finally like call them and I'm like, where's the marketing? And they're like, oh, you'll get it in the mail. And I'm like, what? And they're like a little tiny blurb in Publishers Weekly, like a magazine that nobody reads anymore. And that was my $5,000. And I was like, okay, you guys are fired. So I got my rights back and I fired them. I got my rights back. And I decided, then because right after Mama died, I wrote A Bond with the Dark. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to do 100% self-publishing, 100%. I rebranded. I got a new pen name because I couldn't put A Witch's Aura out a third time under my real name. So I came up with my pen name and I had Your Wonderful Company do the cover, which is my favorite cover of it, by the
Yeah,
way.
the
This
artist
one,
who did that, yeah.
oh, this one is the best one. Like it's just
Hmm.
beautiful. Like it just
Hmm.
captures
That back
shade.
glow, yeah.
Oh my God. This is my favorite one. Like this one is just art. I love this one. This is perfect. So she's out again. I didn't do much marketing for her. It's kind of like one of those things that it's like, I put so much time and effort. I'm just going to focus on, the future. And if someday they start selling, then they do. But, I also wrote it like 12 years ago. So I'm definitely a completely different author than I was then. But I didn't quit getting scammed. So my name and my phone number ended up on some sort of database where I get calls daily to this day. I started falling for it again. So like the first, like this one person, she seemed so legit. It was an email. So it's emails and phone calls. And she had the name of an agent, had an address in New York. Like my dad and I looked at everything seemed legit. She didn't want any money from me. She said she was a Netflix headhunter, that they wanted to turn A Witch's Aura into a Netflix show. And I was like, naively was like, oh, hey, okay, cool, sweet. So she didn't want any money. And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, well, you just need to get your social media presence up. And I was like, okay, how do I do that? She's like, here's the number of this person, get in touch with them. So I got in touch with them. They said, well, we'll need you to wire us $1,000 and give us all your passwords and to your social media, and we'll take over and we'll get you like 1 million followers. I fell for it, which was
Oh,
stupid.
no.
I ended up getting my money back. My bank was amazing. They got my money back, and I ended up like saving my social media and just like changing my passwords and stuff. But beware of like if any authors out there do get those, because they'll find anybody like to prey on.
Yeah.
The one thing I learned is that her email, it said her name and like the Cameron Publishing or whatever it was, but then it was at gmail.com and not at Cameron's Public. And now I know. And so I still get calls, and sometimes I'll answer and mess with them. They'll be like, because I took A Witch's Aura down completely. So I just get calls for Aura's Dilemma, which is the second book in the series. And they'll call me and they'll say, oh, we want to make Aura's Dilemma into a movie. I'm like, Julie, you want to start with a second book? That's crazy. Like, and they'll like $350,000. I'm like, wow, these other people offered me 1 million. And you guys are only, and I'll just mess with them because I know. But it's like I've tried to get my name off of the database. It's just don't fall for any that like just do your research, like with the author solutions thing. There's a wonderful blog that I follow. Anytime I get something that I'm like, maybe I'll look on, it's called Author Beware. And she has this wonderful blog. She updates it all the time about new scams. You can see like all of the people in the actual publishing industry and also in like Netflix, headhunters, things like that. You can see the names of the people who have been stolen identities of. So it's a wonderful website to have, and I would have not known about it unless I went through it myself. So that was kind of the crazy story I got to where I am today, and I'm just 100% indie. I mean, if I ever get picked up by a big publisher, of course I'll take it. But for the most part, I love the freedom of independent publishing. Like with A Bond with Wrath of Demons, I'm like, I'll put it out in May, maybe, like if I get it edited soon, I might throw it out and, surprise everybody in April. But I don't really have deadlines, and I can just publish anything I want. And, it's a lot more freedom, and then you get 100% royalties, so, well, yeah.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah. Mostly like Ingram Spark and Amazon takes their cut,
but definitely more than what you would if you went with the publisher.
Yeah. So a Witch's Aura, my agent was so if a Witch's Aura had like actually went and sold anything, the agent was getting 30% and the publisher was getting 50. So I was only going to get 20% of the sales. Yeah. So it's, but then they paid for marketing. So it's always like, I've spent so much money on book editing and formatting and cover design and artists and all that stuff. But once the book starts selling, that's all mine,
Yeah. If the book starts selling when you're with a publisher like that. Yeah. So now that you're past the vanity presses and the Netflix scammers, what have you been doing to independently market your own books? Like, how are you making book sales on your own?
I find the most I kind of just do a combination of I do reels, and I put like just images that I've purchased and found, like you can purchase them on stock images or anyway that remind me of my books, and I'll make little reels that remind me or kind of give me the vibes of the book. So that helps a lot. Anytime I put a reel out, I can see, I get at least clicks and website traffic. A lot. My street team helps so much too, because it's like when you're small potatoes, indie authors, exposure is the biggest thing. It's just getting your name out there and being repetitive too. So it's like when I was getting ready to launch A Bond with the Dark, my street team we were just blasting the graphics, the images, so that people, because it, like, if you see an image 7 times, it kind of sticks in your head. And I got so many people interested. We had a hiccup with the cover. It had a different cover before. I love the covers now. It was a happy hiccup. But also too, you need, people say don't judge a book by the cover, but people do. You really do want, you really want to spend them. If you're going to spend money up front when you're like new at writing, or like you're a baby author, the 2 things you want to spend your money on is editing and cover design. Those are the 2 things that are the most important. Because first of all, if you don't have a good cover, nobody's going to click on it. And then if you do have a good cover, but you didn't do editing, people are going to be mad.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah. So it's a lot. It's all social media. It really, I have a newsletter that I do, like upcoming launches. So I do that, but it's really all just Instagram and TikTok. Like that's kind of, I've dabbled in Facebook ads. I just don't get a lot of, and some people have really good luck with them, but I also think that like I need to tweak my audience for A Bond with the Dark. So like A Bond with the Dark is adult, and it's vampires. And sometimes I think that the vampire train passed a long time ago. It's Twilight and the Vampire Diaries and stuff. So it's like maybe I need to like tweak my audience to like, women my age, between 30 and 60 maybe. I don't know, because it's all like just kind of experimental with the Facebook ads, you know, and also like Google ads too, or like any kind of ads. You just have to like, you know, switch up keywords, switch up images, switch up, blurbs, you know, just, I also did, I'm trying to get A Bond with the Dark in Stuff Your Kindle for Halloween, because I had a friend do that and she said it did wonders for her page read. So I'd like to do that. But yeah, any kind of like anybody with like street team or ARC teams, just the more people talking about your book, the more you'll see sales and interest and clicks.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy that you mentioned the number seven. That's like a rule in marketing all across the board for all niches and all types of businesses, is that if you get your brand or your book cover or whatever it is in front of someone seven times, they're like 90% more likely to actually buy it, not just click on it and look at it, but like actually make a purchase. So that's one of the things that I strive for when I create street teams. And your street team by far is one of my favorite that I've ever created and managed. You had such a big street team and they were all so active all the time. Everyone was really excited, commenting and talking to each other and following each other. It was like incredible to experience. And that's true, like getting your book in front of one individual reader seven times, whether that be graphics, reels, videos, interviews like this, blogs. I know you did an ad in New York Times. That was really cool. So all of that adds up to creating sales. And I'm so happy to see that one, you have an understanding of marketing that deeply, because a lot of self-published authors don't. They kind of write a book and then they say, okay, who's going to buy it now? And you understand how to actually get your target audience to make that purchase. And you do so much like community building. You're so active on Instagram. I don't see you very much on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok very much, but I see what you're doing on Instagram and you're so active and you're communicative and you're engaging. And I think that in and of itself really gets people excited about your stories too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Thank you. And my street team is they're absolutely feral. I love them. Like they're so amazing, and it is. I when a Witch's Aura failed so hard, I realized. I mean, so writing for me, like I said before, is it's more about it's it's more about my outlet and my expression, and that's my passion and that's how I express myself. Yes, I do want to share this story with others, but like the fact that I was on the top of this mountain and then I came crashing down was one of the hardest things that I've been through some stuff, but that was up there, like getting your dreams crushed like that. So a part of me was like, maybe I should just give up. But then a part of me was like, no, you know what? I'm going to learn how to market myself. So I literally put myself through undergrad and grad school, like learning how to market. And that's like,
Yeah.
but I learned that I also love marketing. And so I do it for a day job too. And I found like this cool other path where, I may not be making a lot of money on my books right now, but I found a really good career. And, I run a website for a university, and I get to like really use my marketing skills. But that's one thing that I love about the book. I mean, sometimes like let's face it, with social media marketing, I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to create more content.
Yeah.
But it's the consistency is also the key. What I've seen some other authors, dear friends of mine who decided to, like you said, I'm going to write a book, but I don't really know how to market. And instead of like kind of taking the time to, or like just be consistent at it, their book didn't sell well. So they just kind of gave up and they never picked it up again. And it's really sad because like, their stories were really good. And some of the most beautiful, amazing stories that I've read are from indie authors. They're beautiful. Like your story, oh my gosh, like just such a beautiful story. And like, where's book two, by the way? I mean, are you?
I'm working on it. I promise. But I do so much with Order of the Bookish and other authors that once I get to my book, I'm like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's coming this year, I promise.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And like I regardless of, if this ever becomes a lucrative career for me or not, I don't care. I've met so many wonderful, beautiful people in the community. At Instagram alone, like I've just met like lifelong friends, like beautiful, wonderful people. And this has just been such a beautiful journey. It's been maddening at times, and times when I want to quit, and imposter syndrome. Like Bond with the Dark wasn't really received all that well. That I, I mean, it's got more fours and fives, which in my head it's like, no, but everybody hates it, which isn't the case. But that imposter syndrome, makes me think like, oh, everybody hates it. I should just stop writing. Imposter syndrome's really, really cruel sometimes, and I just have to like sit back and remember that I'm doing it because I love to do it. I love the stories. I love creating. I do love marketing, and that's the important thing. So, but consistency is key. That's really it. It's like you just, even if you don't want to do it, just get all your content on a Sunday, get it lined up for the week.
Oh yeah, I use a scheduling app. I'll do all of my content like at the beginning of the month, and I'll schedule it out for the whole month. So if you see my feed, it looks like I'm posting 2 to 3 times a day. I am not. I scheduled all that out in December for all of January. And then all of February is almost done, and I do it way ahead of time so I don't have to think about it. And it's such a lifesaver to do it that way.
I need to do it. What do you use to do the
I use
scheduling?
Mr. Social. I think it's like $150 a year or something like that, but it's so worth it. But you can also use like Buffer and Hootsuite. There's so many options. Just like schedule it so that you don't have to
Yeah,
stress. It's definitely
yeah.
helpful.
Canva does it too. Canva
Yeah,
does.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so I know. With the street team though, it's like I still have to like
Yeah.
engage with them and give them content and change so I still have to do the things.
You still have to do the things, yes. But like there's no way you can't not be successful because you literally have all the check like everything I tell the authors that you need to have, you have it all checked off. You're consistently publishing, which a lot of authors end up not doing, me included, is that you publish a book and then you kind of just stop for a while or you're not consistently publishing it or consistently promoting it. So you're publishing, you're actually marketing it, and you're engaging with your community, and your community is your target audience. And those are like the three big check marks that if you're not seeing success, it's because you're probably missing one of those three key factors. But you're doing all the things. So like there's no way you're not going to make it very soon. Like full time, like full time.
Yeah, I want to do this as a living. That's the goal, right? Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, you're definitely going to. So you have learned so much in the past 12 years, give or take, from the first book to now. Besides trying to avoid scammers, what key things would you tell other authors who are writing a book and now they're in this position where they're like, now what? Like, what do they need to know? What do they need to avoid? What should they do first?
So the first thing that I think is the most important is, especially like because there's two routes, right? You can take if you're going to go the traditional publishing route, the query the agents. That's a whole other thing. If you're going to do 100% independent, my biggest advice that I did is get on Instagram or whatever social media that you want, and build build your page as your brand and start getting people interested. Start making graphics. Like, so say, are you like, if you have this story written, or even if you're in the middle of writing it, but you know what it's about, getting people interested early. Like the biggest thing that I did before I even launched a Bond with the Dark was that I wanted 10,000 followers on Instagram, which I didn't. Yeah, I did. I did. I didn't get there. I got to 10,000, I think, right before Bond with the Blood of Angels came out. So I still achieved my goal, but I did get pretty much there, which was super. Like, it's just the people that I made the mistake with TikTok. So here's what the mistakes I made. With TikTok, my first Inara Gage TikTok is just a plethora of madness. And I made a mistake once of posting like, an outfit or something. And I attracted a whole different audience.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy to do on that algorithm.
So now, no matter what I post, if anything bookish that I post on that Instagram or in that TikTok doesn't get any views, so I started a new one and I had to start it from scratch. So you want to make sure that the hashtags you're using is all directed at the audience that are going to read your book, and that's the most important thing. Getting Order of the Bookish was a wonderful, wonderful tool to have. Yeah, it just because you took like with the management of this, the street team, and so it just takes some of that pressure
The
off
content help,
because
yeah.
yeah, because we just have to do so like you're doing so much. So and like if you need help building a street team, Order of the Bookish is there for that. Like
Mhm.
just that is an important part is either ARC team and street team or both,
Yeah,
but ARC team is essential to
absolutely.
a first book launch as well. So with A Bond with the Dark, I had a lot larger ARC readers than I did with The Blood of Angels.
Mhm.
And it shows in not only my reviews, but
Mhm.
also my sales and page reads. So A Bond with the Dark by far went way out of the water
Yeah.
with then A Bond with the Blood of Angels. And so I learned getting your teams together is super helpful and I mean pretty much essential to have if you're gonna publish independently. If you write a book and put it on Ingram, you put it on a KDP and you hit submit, nobody's gonna know it's there.
Yeah.
So that is the huge thing is just getting people interested. I saw one of my really good friends. She wrote an amazing book, like just amazing. But she she never like on Instagram. I've gotten a lot of my followers because I do like the follow trains and stuff.
Mhm.
She has like 5,000 followers just from people interested in the content she's posting. She's never
Nice.
done a train and like because she picks really good graphics and she does like I wanted to I was on her ARC team because I was like this looks interesting I want it and like so it is really important early on to get a good team together and just have people posting often.
Yeah.
I mean, at least once a week for your team,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, once a
the
week
more.
is the magic number that I've found. So when I build and manage the street teams, I say, okay, guys, we're going to do this for 1 month. You post once a week. I'm going to give you a graphic and a reel. Post whichever one you want. I'm going to give you the caption. The captions are all SEO optimized. For anyone watching this, SEO means search engine optimization. It's just keywords to make sure that you're ranking on the algorithms properly. So like we do a lot of research going into like the captions, the graphics, and reels. And that once a week does make a big difference because if we've tried once a month and it didn't do as good, we've tried twice a week and that was just too much. You were just like overloading people and it wasn't doing as well. But once a week has been like the magic number if you're going to have a street team. And also, it's important that you continue the street team. So, like for Order the Bookish, we create the foundation and we get it started, but it's so important for authors to continue that momentum, especially if you're coming out with more books. Like you can't just have it for 1 month and then drop it because at that point, what was the point of having it in the first place?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you've done such a good job maintaining your street team. I see posts all the time.
Yeah. Actually, so the team that you built, I put out an interest form, and I was teasing that in Reels too to have
Oh,
a
smart.
permanent ARC team slash street team. So everybody on that in my street team now is permanent. So they're here for all the books I release.
Mhm.
And it really does, it helps, especially with your making, writing a series
Yeah,
because
definitely.
like your ARC readers that read book one, if you get a whole bunch of different ARC readers for book two, you're going to have, I mean, it's not hard because my book, the first book's on KU, but it is
Mhm.
helpful for people to just keep along with your journey. But they were huge even in promoting Rage. I mean, they love they're feral. I love them. They're like anything I post, they're like, can we post? And I was like, you guys don't have to post about Rage. And they're like, oh, we want to. And so they're really excited. And then I have oh gosh, I've been trying to write it for 5 years. It's a horror book. It's a zombie book that I'm really excited. It is for sure coming out this October, which by the way, I need to talk to Order of the Bookish about making a cover for it because I have absolutely no idea what I want the cover to be, but it
Okay.
is coming out for Halloween. So I have two books coming out this year. So I'm really excited.
So much happening. I'm excited to talk to you too. I definitely want to see all of the above. And then we're going to do another interview like this. And I do want to talk more about marketing because you have a marketing background. We need to help more authors
Yeah.
understand the marketing side of things. So we're going to do this again. So everyone watching this, stay tuned for part 2 because it's going to come. Yes, I'm so excited to see all of the projects that you have coming. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, a wild, absolutely crazy one, and for giving all these helpful tips to authors. I am going to talk to you soon. And we're going to sign off for now, but to everyone watching this video, I'm going to put a bunch of her links below so you can follow on social media, check out the books, get it on KU, do all the things. So stay tuned for more Author Talks videos, especially with Inara, and thank you so much for joining us today. Happy reading and happy writing. Thank you so much for tuning in to another author interview with me. I'm Tia at Order of the Bookish. Make sure you subscribe to all the Order of the Bookish channels for more updates on news, trends, marketing tips, and self-published authors and their books because we have so much coming this year and you don't want to miss out on any of it. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for the next author interview coming next Friday.